Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed podcast. Thank you, Dawn, so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Great to be here.
Thank you. So today we're going to play a game just to get your creative juices flowing, get you excited about having fun on this podcast. Are you ready?
I'm so ready. Rawr.
Okay. So this game is called Add or Adventure. So you seem to be a very adventurous person, having seen your repertoire of experience in life. So I am very excited for this one. So how this is going to work is you're going to tell me whether it's add or adventure, this scenario in which I provide for you. So add would mean that this is a real marketing campaign from history that had happened before. And then adventure will be an over-the-top scenario that maybe could work but has not happened before, as far as to my knowledge.
As an ad campaign?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so and again, you're not it's okay if you're wrong. I didn't know about half of these things before looking into them, so it's just a fun thing to now you can do some investigation afterwards. You're like, wow, that was a really cool campaign.
Awesome.
Okay, you ready for the first one?
Okay.
A soda company once launched a product that changed colors when poured.
Ad.
Yes, it was Pepsi Blue in the 90s. I don't know if you remember. So there's so many things that I don't remember, but I love the idea of. Okay, great job. The next one is a cereal brand releases a flavor inspired by pizza to target college students.
Adventure.
Yes, that is fake. I'm happy that that's fake. That sounds
Me too. That sounds so. I don't know. I just don't know. I would have to seriously be drinking and
pizza
hungover.
and milk. Yeah.
How's that gonna fly? Milk and pizza.
Yeah, no.
Disturbing.
Disturbing at best. Okay. A burger franchise making a video game that stars their mascot.
Ad.
It's Burger King. They made their king the mascot. I thought that was awesome. I love a gamification kind of aspect in marketing. It's like my favorite thing to nerd out about.
Love
it. A beer brand that built a fully functioning bar on top of a double-decker bus.
Ad.
That is fake.
What?
Right? I'm surprised because they have a bunch of things on top of double-decker buses. They have tea, we have in Philadelphia, we have a double-decker bus that has whole high tea on the top of it, which someone needs to be doing that.
I'm upset about that. So I was at South by Southwest in March, and there was actually a liquor company that did it. So it had a double-decker bus, and then you had to go in and then up on the top. It was really super cool.
That's very cool. Yeah, maybe that this concept exists, but it was not an ad. So it just maybe they just didn't promote it properly. But yeah, unfortunately, people should be taking advantage of that. That's very cool.
Ideas you should steal.
Yeah, right? No, I have another game that I like to play called Market Me This, and it's usually like an absurd product that I ask people to build a tiny marketing campaign for me. And a lot of them are like, this is actually a really good idea. And I'm like, it doesn't exist. You can do whatever you want with it.
Make this happen.
Okay, so the last one before we get into the real stuff, an energy drink company building an entire skate park inside of an airplane hangar.
Ooh. Ad.
It was Red Bull. It's always Red Bull if it's absolutely crazy sounding.
Those awesome Red Bull people.
Yeah, they're awesome. The space dive, I cannot ever get over that. That's like genius marketing campaigns that they have. So that was the game. I really appreciate you participating and hopefully enjoying that. And now let's get into the nitty-gritty of it. I want to hear about you a little bit. I want the audience to hear about you. Tell us about your journey up to this point, kind of how you got involved in this space, and kind of what you're doing today.
Wow. Okay, journey to this point. Gosh.
It can be long. There's
30 minutes.
I want all the important details.
Chapter 1. In junior high. So I hopped into the advertising business accidentally. Actually started at a radio station. I I ever so briefly wanted to be a DJ. I thought that would be really cool.
That does sound really cool.
And I've actually done DJ. I've DJ'd on games. So apparently that never has quite left me. And that career was cut short because I really wasn't that good.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a lot. It's draining to the person.
Anyway, so I started with a production company. So I started doing jingles and copywriting and writing ads, and then it merged from there into an opportunity to pick up a client. And so I started an advertising agency and got my first client back in the 90s, and then it took off from there. So I've had a advertising agency for over 30 years now. I still have that, even though I'm the CMO. In fact, I had this company as a client for over 2 decades. So that's in short. And then side hustle, because we all have them now. We just didn't know what they were before, but now they're side hustles. They have a cool name. I used to jet ski race, and now I'm a broadcast commentator for jet ski racing, and I get to travel doing that.
Because that I think that, you know, I everything about you is very interesting upon investigation, but of course the jet ski racing seems about kind of random in comparison to all the other career moves. So I'm just so curious about how you got involved in that in the first place. Was it something that you always did when you were younger and like you kind of just loved doing it, or?
Yeah, no, just no. You're right though. The marketing advertising was somewhat linear, but the jet ski racing, I got a jet ski. Oh gosh, and then I found out that you could race them, and so that I'm a wee bit competitive. I think anybody that's in advertising and marketing is both collaborative and competitive, and have a lot of empathy. Makes really great marketing people. So I loved it. I just fell in love with the water, and then I couldn't race anymore because the business was taking off. I was starting to get too many clients, and I just really couldn't devote the time. So I stopped racing, but I kept announcing, and the announcing I sort of fell into, and then really enjoyed. So it was another. I couldn't DJ, but now I could announce. So we got it.
So, no, I love that. I think it still feels somewhat linear, even with the jet ski involvement. I mean, you know, commentator, marketer. You know, we all gotta talk about things.
Random. It's so random, but so fun.
Well, how do you think your thrill of competition kind of like sharpens your marketing instincts though? Because it's kind of, they're kind of adjacent. I think that you kind of have to.
Yes, I think I learn a lot about, well, first off, the travel. So I travel internationally quite a bit. So I've done quite a few trips over to Asia, Malaysia, Vietnam, China, Middle East. And when you travel like that, you're exposed to a lot of different types of advertising and a lot of mediums. Mm-hmm. So I saw some pretty cool patterns early on that I was able to capitalize on. The second thing is the world of racing, even though it's a niche, is just a fantastic ecosystem. It's a tremendous place to learn because you're seeing all types of generations react in a niche environment, in a niche ecosystem. So you can truly like Petri dish, like, oh, let's try this. Let's see what that does. You know, which age group really jumped into this and which one seemed unresponsive, right? So I think it provided a lot of lab work for me without me realizing it. And also I truly love racing. And I think that being an athlete transcends countries, genders, cultures. We're just brought together as souls and human beings, and it's fun.
Oh, I really love that it was kind of like, without you even understanding it, as that maybe at the time was kind of like an experimental opportunity because you were able to see like maybe how the ad space is in that industry, and then it kind of translated to your own work.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. Yeah, very much so.
What kind of so you put a lot of emphasis, at least in your socials as far as I've seen, as like kind of you're able to stay ahead of the curve where like you're looking for a lot of marketing trends. How would you recommend that someone else would do that? Like what kind of spaces do you make yourself kind of understand these new ventures in? Like what kind of places do you put yourself in? What kind of things do you look out for?
I also, yeah, and as I answer that, I'm going to answer that based on where you are in your career too, because I think that matters. If you're beginning in your career and you want to be in the marketing advertising space, I think the sky's the limit on where you go, right? Once you're in, like maybe that first 5 years, I would really look at what are the industries that you're in now. So if you're predominantly e-commerce, then I would step outside of e-commerce and I would look at innovations outside of e-com. If you're B2B, I would step outside of B2B and look at retail and see what patterns there were or trends or signals in retail that you could translate back into B2B and vice versa, right? Now, and there's a lot of differences in B2B that you can't use in retail, vice versa, but I think that there's also patterns. So for me, I think the biggest thing is, where are the frustrations? Like I always try to crack code. What's the frustration? And then who's solving it? And that is generally where innovation lives.
Yeah, no, my favorite stories about marketing are marketing campaigns that are successful is where people got the idea from. And a lot of times it's super out of the box, like something that they saw on TV completely unrelated to this, or they were like doing an activity and they were like, wow, wait, marketing idea. And I think that's so, it's so interesting when you're kind of geared towards looking out for those kind of cues that in your everyday life you can get inspiration from so many different things that you would never really associate with marketing.
Yes, and I also think every 10 years you have repeatable cycles, right? You have business models and business cycles that are repetitive, but you also have, like, COVID is a black swan event. So COVID's going to change so much. Like it changed behavior, it changed viewing habits, it changed purchase habits. It killed some industries, it hurt industries, it grew other industries. So you also want to. I'm a big fan of look backwards too. Look backwards to look forwards. I think that can be very helpful for you. So the next black swan event, and there's always going to be something. The next black swan event or big changing event like AI, Gen AI is, to me, going to be a swan. It's not a black swan, but it's going to be a swan. It has potential to be a black swan, though, right? When you think of the true depth of impact, like I would compare what's coming at us right now, and it's a huge impact in the marketing and advertising space, but that's not the only trajectory. It's literally going to hit every industry. It's going to hit nonprofits. It's going to hit B2B, everything, right? Mm-hmm. And at such a fundamental level. So what can we learn from that? What do we need to be thinking of ahead of it, right? Like there's some really crazy stuff. So I try to follow people. Back to your, hey, how do you get better at this? I try to follow people that are thought leaders, but I also try to stay out of the box. So I'm in the mortgage space with Mortgage Solutions, but when I'm looking for advertising or marketing ideas, I generally don't stay in the mortgage space. In fact, I stay as far away from it as possible. So I'll go to fast-moving consumer goods space because that space is quick and they're agile and they're adept and they understand their audience very, very well. And they move very fast. So they're from product to design to shelf is super quick. So what can we learn? What can the mortgage space learn from that?
Yeah, no, outside inspiration is something that I think is really important for marketing specifically because you can get inspiration from anywhere for any specific purpose. But I think that for marketing, that is helpful in creating something that's unique, just because if it's not already introduced into your specific industry yet, it's something that's new and makes you stand out. Whereas if you're looking within your space for inspiration, you might just be copying. Maybe you're doing it better, but you're still not doing something that's necessarily original or appearing to be original.
Yep, totally agree. And I'm curious on your take on this, but so things like the craze with Pop Mart and Labubu's signals for me. I watch those kind of things very closely. And there's a lot of behavioral and sort of neuroscience hacks inside of what's happening with this explosion in the toy industry, which, by the way, That's a tough industry to crack code, right? And for them to crack that code so very quickly. But and Skull Panda, like the whole Skull Panda thing is fascinating. So
No.
yeah, go girl. I want to hear
Oh,
your.
this is an exciting topic for me. We actually talked about it on a live event a couple of weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago. Like how this, yeah, I think it started maybe 2 months ago or something, the Labubu trend. But I think it's such an incredible case study for marketing standards. I think it is so, it's, it reminds me of the Beanie Baby craze almost, because there's this, they capitalize so well on this idea of scarcity. But what is so interesting and unique about this is that the scarcity only comes from the limited drops, but the same exact product still exists. Like they do the next drop and it's still the same product that was the previous drop. It's just at a different time. But I think because they're so on trend that like people are continuing to buy it because they just want to stay on trend and have what, you know, they're seeing all over. And it's so interesting to see for my specific generation and younger how obsessed people are with this, because it's difficult for the toy industry. You're right about how difficult it is to get into the toy industry in general, but it's even harder for the toy industry to tap into adults. Like that's what I think is so interesting about this, because other than if it's a collector's item, it's very difficult to tap into like a certain age group with toys.
Multiple age groups, right? Multiple age groups. I love
that. It is so interesting. I'd love to hear your take on what you think is like your favorite part about it too, because it's fascinating to me.
Let's go. Well, I took it. I just got back from Indonesia, jet ski racing, and I took a Labubu on the trip. So I'm obviously not 20, sadly. I passed for that quite well. The idea behind that was I wanted to see who all interacted. Every age group interacted. I had flight attendants, people at the hotel, and this was before I ever hit Asia, right, or any of that. So that was really fun. The second thing that I found fascinating, not just about the trip, but the entire industry is. So first off, let me decode a bit of it. It's not just the gamification, it's the variety, it's the variable. Like they've tapped into the gambling mentality because you're literally pulling a slot.
Mystery boxes are completely just gambling.
So I'm at Pop Mart in Singapore, which is supposed to have, believe this, which is crazy that we're talking Labubus. So I'm at the airport in Singapore. I go to the Jewel, and I'm going to their Singapore Pop Mart, and they're supposed to have special Singapore only Labubus, right?
That's so exciting.
Not a single Labubu in sight. Everything was sold out. And I know, crazy, right?
Yeah.
And this store was just constant. People were just, I ended up buying I got a Mr. Paw, which was really cool. But anyway, I just found the whole idea behind it. The other thing that I saw in that store was a guy shaking. They were shaking the toys to see what was in it. So they were
it's like Christmas.
I'm telling you, this idea of the gamification next level, this gambling. The other side of the decode, you kind of have these tribes, like we tribe up, like we have a community that does this, or, if you're into pickleball or, that's a specific age group, or you're into flyboards or whatever, right? That's all tribal. You're getting to sort of this tribe communities. So that now there's this community at the Pop Mart. They're going, I can't believe you're out of the sound series from the Skull Pandas. I really wanted discussed or whatever. And I was just blown away by the crosstalk. And then I came out of that airport. I went to two more. I went to Jakarta, had one as well. So I went to the Jakarta Pop Mart. Very fun. Did not buy. Should have. There was one I really wanted. Anywho, but I'm on the flight home and I'm trying to think in my head. I'm breaking down what behavior, like why what's the why? What is it solving that we're buying these, super crazed looking toys? By the way, I brought Luck with me, which was awesome. So perfect. We are in such juxtaposition of connection, disconnection, right? Like you and I are connected, but we're not face to face, so we're not fully connected. And I think that this battle of loneliness and anxiety and am I good enough, and it sort of compounds the more we disconnect. And so we use these small indulgences. Faith Popcorn quoted this so well years ago in the Popcorn Report. We use these small indulgences to counter that behavior of loneliness or, anxiety or whatever, worry, sadness. And these toys and the purchase process of these toys filled the gap. Just like Dutch Brothers, right? I can buy whatever freaking flavor I can make up at Dutch Brothers or whatever's trendy.
I could not be more happy about the trajectory of this conversation because I love getting into philosophy in relation to marketing because it really is like everything about it is philosophical and psychological. And like if you're not thinking about that, then what are you doing? But for this specific thing, I completely think consumerism, especially on like such a minute scale, is for serotonin boosts. Like especially when we feel more lonely, we feel more detached. This is a way to continue to fit in and feel connected while not outright asking for it. Because when you have this item that all these other people have, you can make connections with people by not even trying because people ask about it. People say, where'd you get that? People say, oh, I have this too. Or people say all these different things. And that's how you make these connections with people. Like it's like wearing an article of clothing that someone loves the brand of, but it's something that's so niche and identifiable that it makes people excited. And that is such a crazy concept with such a little toy item of all ages enjoy that I feel for the longest time enjoying toys or something like frivolous in this way was not acceptable at all for us after a certain age group. But now it is changing the trajectory of what is even acceptable culturally, which is so awesome.
I love that you brought that up. So everything from gaming to, niche viewing habits like RuPaul's Drag Race. Like I watch the craziest stuff. I love RuPaul's Drag Race. I love to watch that because and my social media director is going to be flipping out when she hears this because I gave her such a hard time about it forever. But it's these niches that help us identify, but it is also those opportunities to reconnect. So again, back to the Labubu travel mode. I had 10-year-olds reacting. I had the customs agent at one of the airports literally was like, did you want to declare the Labubu? Straight-faced. I'm literally like, well, no, I actually bought it in the States and I'm just bringing it back. I mean, I got really kind of scared and then he's cracking up. He's like, well, did he bring any friends? And I'm like, oh my God, we're having an entire conversation about a Labubu, about a $27 toy. Crazy, Shannon. And it was connection. So I'm connecting at 10 years old. I'm going to guess his age, 40s, right? Super fun. And everywhere in between, it was non-gender specific. It was non-culture specific. It was obviously non-age specific. Just whoever happened to resonate with it. And I got all kinds of fun opportunities to truly, hey, how are you today? We didn't have that conversation. We had, where'd you get the Labubu? When'd you get the Labubu? How many other Labubus do you have? It was just priceless. So.
No, those conversations are absolutely wonderful. And I think that before it was Labubus, it was Beanie Babies or, baseball cards or all these things. But this is a displayable item, which I think is what emphasizes the phenomena so much more, is that it's like an article of clothing, but it's a collector's item that you display on your handbag or your suitcase or your whatever you want. I'm sure people have made earrings out of them. I don't even know, but it is something that you are putting on display that can make connections authentically with people without even trying. And that is genius marketing.
Genius marketing.
It is, and I understand that they were around for like what I think is even cooler is that they were around for a year or even more before they became popular.
Oh, way more. Here's what's crazy. I talked to somebody that lived in China, and they were like, "Why is everybody so crazy about Labubus? We've had them for years." And yet another tribal moment, right? I'm like, okay, now I'm sorry, my husband got very excited. Tiny's very excited, so he's like, "Oh, zoom in on her right now." So the crazed part is, or maybe fascinating part, is translate that now over to platforms, right? Because TikTok has taken the same idea. TikTok has changed how social media interacts, right? Short form video. That signal in 2019, 2020 has not only shifted behavior, it's translated into an entire industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what the actual, like, we can now take these marketing trends and nothing is sacrosanct, nothing's sacred anymore.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating opportunity as well.
Exactly. And I think that it's so I love another thing that I love to nerd out about is marketing campaigns that go unexpectedly or a big boom in a popularity of an item or a service or whatever it may be because of something that they was not predetermined, which is exactly the Labubu trend, because a lot of people, at least as far as I'm aware, associate the boost in popularity because of the member of Blackpink that had it on her bag. And internationally, this is one of like the biggest K-pop groups, and Asian culture is much more popular in the United States and in European countries than it was previously, and so it came at this like perfect crux of cultural nuance. And I think that is crazy too, is that like they probably didn't even plan for this. Like the idea of the item is so genius, and the way in which they marketed it, even before it before it became so popular, was still very smart. But without this like pivotal moment that they did not plan for, it might not be what it is today. And blind boxes in general would probably not be what they are now, because now when people can't get a Labubu, they're looking for that serotonin boost from something else. So they're browsing Pop Mart to find something that's equally as cute and fun to them, to be able to also showcase, looking for the next trend that might come up after Labubus lose their popularity, if ever, which usually something does at some point. I will still love them. I think they're adorable. So, but I think that is it's just right place, right time.
Some of it is timing. Well said.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, okay, this was so fun. So I want to translate this, as we went so off topic, but it was so fun, so I'm like glad to do it. But your crux. So you got involved in Mortgage Solution Financial, which is marketing related as your position is, but
sure.
Why? Like, why this industry specifically? It's just out of curiosity. Like, what changed your trajectory for like ad creative and to financial marketing?
Sure. So all of the same things apply, right? This is a super boring industry.
Well, that's you love boo-boos. I was like, financial marketing.
Nobody wants a mortgage until you have to have a mortgage, unlike a Labubu, right? So what do? Do I get a Labubu with every mortgage you purchase, or whatever trending thing is? And that's not how this marketing works. This is a slower moving machine. Nevertheless, it's fascinating. And it's critical. It's like such a foundational industry in so many economies, right? So I can translate. I could be in Thailand, and the housing industry in Thailand is very fascinating to watch.
Mm-hmm.
The housing industry in Greece is fascinating to watch. Mexico, the US, the UK. And land is scarce. Land is becoming more and more scarce. So what are the innovations, and how does the mortgage industry play into all that? So that's that was why. I mean, I'd had the client for quite a while on the agency side, so then I came in full time. But the other cool thing that appealed to me for this is, like, honestly, Shannon, I never wanted to come and work at corporate. I'm not a corporate girl. Like, who is? I mean, who really fits in the marketing space?
Very specific people that are for the corporate world, and I don't understand them.
It's generally the death of creative. Like, the minute you get into a space where you've got to deal with compliance and legal, and it's like creative just goes into the corner and dies a slow, ugly death. But the fascination for me was how to keep it alive. So I had managed to do that on the agency side, right? Because we had a very insulated, protected group. So I took that idea here. And again, I would not have done that any other place than this company, because I know the founder and the president so well. I mean, I grew up with the president in a lot of ways. So that was fascinating. The other thing that's fascinating, Shannon, most ad agencies is having way too much fun. This camera has a freaking life of its own. All right, that was a riot. This is more fun than the interview. The lifespan of an agency typically with a client is about 3.5 average, maybe 5 years. So now I'm with a brand for over 20 years, right? And I've really got to watch all of the evolutions, all the fails. I mean, we had a name change, girl, epic fail. We had so much challenge with that. I thought we'd be in and out of that in 6 months. 3 years later, I was still dealing with name change on a brand. It was insanity. So all of those things that you could actually manage and control and be a part of was a magical experience. I think I've gotten more experience being able to work with a brand long-term like that. And you live with your consequences, which is another thing with agencies. It's like we're in and out, right? We try to help you grow, and then and as those strategies and objectives change, then they pick a new agency, which is absolutely on point. But this was, you live with your mistakes, or you live with your wins, because sometimes your wins can be narrow. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden you're narrow, but now you're trying to follow some kind of trend or an innovation. It's like, oh crud, my brand is going this way, but the but the industry, right, and behavior is going this way. How do we pivot? So that was fun for me. That was really, really fascinating for me.
I love that. I think it really seems for you about like watching and understanding how things kind of tick, like because the industry can be different in all these different spaces, but it's still enjoyable to try to kind of figure out. I feel like marketers are at their core problem solvers.
Oh,
and I think
nosy. We're so curious and nosy. Yep.
100%.
What are you doing?
And do you think that do you think staying long term in a specific industry rather than maybe agency work, where you're kind of pivoting a lot and like changing strategies, experimenting on very short term spans, do you believe that you have the ability to learn better when in long term? Like, what do you think the difference is for you?
I think there's pros and cons on every side, right? I don't want to paint this unrealistically, right? So
no, of course.
My fear of being in a corporate space and being on a brand long term is that you could get stale or burned out. So again, I think the jet ski racing, I think the endless curiosity. I read a lot of literature. I read a lot of, I follow quite a few futurists. I go to a lot of conferences and seminars, and not the ones you would think I would go to. I go to really weird stuff. I do. I read weird stuff. I'm constantly nosy with different age groups and what they're up to. I just think I'm fascinated by people. So I think that's what is sort of the savior of the pro-con situation. But I think corporations are tricky. Corporations and corporate brands are tricky. Even more so right now, because influencers have more power than brands. Let's just take a moment. And we now have avatar generated, it's Gen AI influencers. The whole deal with Mia in Wimbledon that just blew up on LinkedIn this week, right? Fantastic. So here's somebody that you would hire an influencer for $50K, and it takes a minute for them to get the campaign. They want to be the campaign based on their followers, and you as a brand are trying to do the campaign the way your brand guidelines are. It's always a hot mess and fun, but challenging. And now you have Gen AI that could just jump in. They work 24/7. They're at a quarter of the price. Wow. Like, it's, as soon as you sort of land on it, it's moving. That, if as long as you're okay embracing that, I don't think it matters whether you're corporate or whether you're individual in an agency space. But you have to be, oh, thank you. You have to be willing to, you just really have to be willing to learn the rules and then continue to break the rules.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that with that explanation, it kind of seems like you would be happy in any space, or at least most spaces. Just because I think that foundationally, yes, there's places in which you can be completely miserable being a marketer for just because of the environment maybe. But if you just enjoy it for just its craft, it's kind of interesting in all different spaces. I have talked to a mountain of marketers on this podcast, and I find out something new from every episode, which is selfishly my favorite part of it, is learning from all these different people, because everyone has a different way of explaining something, different experiences, different stories behind how they got to where they are. And it's so fascinating how much different and the same it is no matter where you're doing it.
Oh, and there are so many brilliant minds. I mean, my huge acknowledgement to Joel Mildenhelm from Rocket Mortgage and what he did this year at the Super Bowl, right? And that was a signal. Him and the Take Me Home Country Road song, right? So they start singing it, they do the ad, and then they do this beautiful cutback to them singing live in the stadium. I mean, it was just like, oh my God, we have a social media moment exploding right now. We're going commercial to live. Brilliant.
It is just, it is, being a marketer is something that I think is so exciting in a way that I think other positions sometimes aren't, because you can find inspiration anywhere, doing anything, seeing anything, watching anything, observing anything. And it is so fun to kind of figure that out. Whereas I think, like, most other positions in corporate world, agency world, whatever it may be, like, that's not, you don't get as much out of the world sometimes, I guess. I don't know. It's just so interesting. Not that, everyone's living a lackluster life.
Right, except for marketers. Pity y'all. No, I think it's mindsets for each, right? So we've got a really amazing, our COO is really very well balanced soul. He would not love being in the marketing department. It's way too chaotic for him. But as COO, he's incredibly powerful. And what's weird is he loves what he does, and he's super quiet and balanced. And it's just, to me, I think I'm fascinated by people anyway, but anything can be a pain in the ass. It's your mindset on it. Excuse the language, but what the heck? And I also think, what do you find your joy and find your love, and that expresses itself. We've got an accountant, the CFO at this company is so creative and yet so brilliant. But when his little creative streak pops out, it is wicked. It is wicked to follow. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. The CFO, you're like a financial dude.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be creative.
How can you be so fun?
Uh-huh.
So I think it's the joy. I think when you find somebody that really gets joy out of what they do, first off, that's where innovation lives as well. My humble opinion. As soon as you find somebody enjoying what they're doing or having fun in their job, I'm waiting for inspiration and innovation to happen in there, because that's to me like yum yum.
I think that was a perfect note to end on, especially since you ended on a nonsensical phrase, which is yum yum. But I do think that this was, we're grossly over time, but in the best way ever, because I had such a blast speaking with you today. Thank you so much for coming with absurd topics, philosophical topics, on-topic topics. This was genuinely such a delight. I really appreciated having you on today.
Right back at you, Shannon. Thanks for your time, and thanks for the invite. Have fun, and I'll follow you and listen to some of the other great marketers out there too. I love, love, love this space.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I do too. And thank you everyone for listening. Please check out Dawn in the description and have a lovely day. Thank you for enjoying. Goodbye.